Ay, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. I can't talk very loud because I'm in a public place. But I decided that since I have some time to kill, uh, to have a short live. Hi kay Stormtrooper. So, kamusta po ang lahat? I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Hi kay 127 Angeli. Alright, well, the other night or about 2 nights ago, hi kay Ma'am Lynn, nag-live ako sa TikTok and marami kasi na taga rito na hindi po nakakanood ng TikTok because it's not allowed in their country. So, pinag-usapan namin basically was to catch some people up on certain things like anong mga nangyayari, yung paulit-ulit po yung mga issues ang inukulit-kulit ng kabila is that VP Inday spent 125 million in about 11 days lang. And people are still using that pang sinasabi na, o sige, kahit gumawa siya ng statement, she still spent 125 million in only 11 days. And I think nagiging resistant sila doon sa explanation. They keep saying na, ayan kasi gumastos siya ng ganito in only 11 days. Yeah, big deal. Diba? So, uulit-ulitin ko din. And I had to do that doon sa TikTok kasi may audience doon that is untapped. So, ang sinasabi ko doon is that, um, yes, government agencies actually can advance the money because of a relatively new rule. Dati kasi, sinesegregate na yung mga amounts that are allocated by the budget. At minsan-minsan po, nilalagay yon in separate accounts, bank accounts. Ngayon po, meron tinatawag na single account uh, rule na you can commingle all the funds. In other words, you have a budget, but you get the amount and put it all in a single account. So, pwede kang gumamit ng funds na nanggagaling dun sa common fund na yon for other purposes provided by the year end maa-account mo at lahat yon ay nagastos in accordance with the allocation. So, pag sinasabi nila 11 days lang nagastos yon, hindi po. Kasi it is quite possible because syempre, VP Inday cannot defend herself against yung mga allegations na ganyan. Kaya dapat tayo yung nag-defend. Now, in some instances, the government pwedeng early on na nagawa na yung activity and it came from the common fund. Pagdating sa December, either i-reimburse yung mga in advance or yun nga, babayaran yung hindi pa, yung for billing na mga gastos na yon. So yes, of course, it's entirely possible that it wasn't spent in just 11 days. It was accounted for after 11 days. Diba? So, hindi yung, because of the lack of information and the fact that the VP cannot defend herself dahil nga ito ay confidential funds, then they're taking advantage of that situation. So, yun. Um, Kumbaga, ang nangyayari dito is nananamantala ang ilang tao at the fact that confidential funds hindi talaga kailangan i-disclose pero kulit ng kulit sila that it was spent in 11 days. Not necessarily. The activity could have been conducted earlier on at hindi yan 11 days or the projects had been already completed when the money came in, ni-reimburse na lang o saka lang binayaran. So, yes, government can do that. And it is not any violation of any rule. And as a matter of fact, kung nakita natin kung violation yan, nag-issue sana ng observation report ang COA in order for the amount to be, for the expenditure to be properly liquidated. So, kumbaga naghahanap sila. So, ang inaano ko, yan sabi ni Luis to, correct, nag-work ako sa DTI, may instances talaga na December na nagre-release ang DepEd ng request. Totoo yan. In fact, in the first quarter of the year, ang tagal bago mag-release ng pera. Pero kailangan mo magbayad ng sweldo ng MOOE, 'di ba? So minsan ang releases in the first quarter dumadating na February or March depending on kung gaano kabilis ang DBM. So, paano yun? The agency still has to keep running and sweldo still has to be released. So, anong ginagawa? Kagaling yan from the common fund. At i-reimburse na lang o pupunuin yung pinagkuhaan ng pera na yon. It is not malversation nor technical malversation kasi may allocation for that expenditure. Sabi ni Ma'am Ying, I don't understand why it is even a contention. Accounted naman. Samantalang yung mga nagngangaw, sila nga walang maipakita dun sa sarili nilang accounting, sa sarili nilang pera. Totoo yun. But it's a shortcut. And that's what I want to point out here, is that it is a communication strategy. Kukulitin ang kukulitin tungkol dito, at tapos shortcut siya, di ba? Sasabihin gumastos in 11 days and so on, which of course is not exactly true. So ano yung, ang tanong dito, hindi ba paparusahan ng mga social media platforms yan for fake news? Hindi ba that's also a shortcut? It's not exactly correct. It's not exactly true. Pero napupuna ba ng Meta o ng mga fact-checkers yung mga taong nag-allege na si VP Inday spent her confi funds in only 11 days? Sabi, sabi ni Maming, saka alam naman nila late dumadating ang pera sa sahod pa nga lang ng mga kasama ko. Imagine, 1 month late, buti may mga kasama silang may datong na mauutangan. Ano na lang yung wala. No, ito sabi ni Rekushin. Some people say na VP Sara shouldn't have taken that 125 million and she could not have given them a reason to create all this hogwash. Why did you think that the VP could look forward and see all of this? Ganun ba kalayo yung... I mean, you're saying is that there's a possibility for her to anticipate all of this? Na tandaan ninyo, in the early days, when this was released, this was the first year that she sat in office, the first few months, the release was made by the office of the president. Diba? Well, the release was, released to the DBM. So, presidente na yung nag-release. Presidente na, a person who was voted for by 30 million people and who in his discretion as the highest official of the land believed that it was correct for the VP to undertake this activity. So, ano tong mga shouldn't have, shoulda, coulda, woulda, yung mga ganyan, it's not fair. Kasi it assumes that she would have anticipated a reaction like this one. But let's face it, this reaction of Congress, for example, and some officials in the Senate, they seem to me contrived. The same way na parang contrived din yung mga super react na 11 days lang ginastos itong budget ni VP. I think that's ridiculous. Sabi ni Rain Rian, kung di po niya gagastusin, ano po mangyayari sa pera? Magre-revert to treasury. And that means that government is inefficient. So sa totoo lang, sa government, kapag merong inallocate sa'yo, tapos hindi mo ginastos o hindi nagastos at all, it will just go back to treasury and it represents a failure of the government to comply with its obligations to undertake that activity and spend that money. So, yun lang yung ko. Actually, I intend this to be a long live. Pero yun yung nakikita natin is that they want to use this shortcut to para bumaon sa utak ng mga tao na hindi that would not look deeper into the issue para meron long-term na kasiraan dito. Hindi ko po alam kung hindi pa po kinukuha ni VP at PBBM ang mga sweldo nila. I seriously doubt that kasi it screws up the accounting. Kasi ganyan po talaga sa gobyerno pag hindi mo kinuha, there's leftover money that they have to account for. Nagkakaproblema dyan yung finance and accounting department. Sabi ni Ma'am Jennifer, kung hindi po ba tatanggapin ni VP ang budget for 2024, may ibang paraan sustentuhan mga pangangailangan ng mga teachers. No, if you are talking about itong proposal sa social media na mag-fundraising tayo, I would like to call your attention na nung panahon ni Leni Robredo as Vice President, siya po ay nag-attempt mag-fundraising para sa kanyang, how do you call this, yung costs dun sa COMELEC case niya. So, hindi po yun, her attention was called to it na bawal po yun. Bawal tumanggap po ng donation for kasi matatanong din siya ano yung purpose niyan and so on. And it might, hindi pa ako sure kung papasok siya, no? But there's a possibility na papasok yun sa Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. So, there has to be a fund na tutunguhan ng mga ganito. And we're not sure if the office of the vice president is empowered to accept donations. Now, the DepEd might sometimes be empowered. The DepEd is empowered to do so kasi I understand that pwedeng maggawa ng school buildings for the department, sorry. And so yun, allowed ang DepEd. So, ang inaano ko dito is that kailangan pag-aralan muna yung legality of whether or not people can do a fundraiser for the vice president for particular purposes. Ako, to be careful, I wouldn't suggest it. But we can donate for things like kasi may kakulangan ang DepEd na 6,000 school buildings pa, or classrooms, sorry. 6,000 classrooms ang kulang ng DepEd na baka hindi nila masagot for the year. So, kung gusto natin tumulong, dun po tayo magbigay. Pagtuunan natin ng pansin ang mga school buildings and classrooms na super kulang talaga all over the country. Sabi ni Ming, di ba it's also redundant for people to be harping on the CF of the VP kasi she now has outrightly refused it. Kaya napapaisip ako bakit dinidiscuss pa. Siyempre, some people want to keep that issue alive para meron silang masasabi against her. Hi kay Dennis. Is it factual to say that the Senate President and the Speaker of the House have access to what were spent in the confidential fund of the OVP? No, I don't think that they do because that is the nature of the confidentiality. Only COA would know. Ay, sorry Sas, di ko alam na naka-live ka. Sandali na lang to, tapos mag-live ka na at manonood ako. Naghihintay lang kasi ako dito. Wait guys, batiin nyo naman kay Sas. Good evening kay Sas Orlando Sasot. One of the bravest people in the world that I know. So, sabi ni Pialo, wag na natin guluhin ang utak natin at wag na din ma-confuse kasi nasabi na ng COA na walang anomaly. Hindi po nga sinasabi. From as far as I know, hindi pa po tapos ang audit niyan. Kaya wag rin naman tayo mag-iimbento because you don't want people to talk about it. Masyado lang nila pinalalaki, etc. Well, we know that. But there's some people who would like to be explained about that. Marami pa rin ako natatanggap na tanong about that. And you know what? We don't really like to shut people up like that. So, sabi ni Presi, good evening po watching here in Switzerland. Good evening din daw kay Ma'am Sas. Hi, are congressmen's family allowed to participate in government projects? Actually, um, no, particularly if the congressman has a say in the project. So, dun sa Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, kung nakaupo in a decision-making body yung congressman, kung may say siya and they do have a say in some projects, kasi they can identify projects that whose funding comes from them. So, kung sa kanya siya yung nag-identify tapos pamilya niya yung magko-contract, then yes, bawal po yun. That violates the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act law. Ay, act. Sobra. Lahat na ng mga kalaban ni Junior, sabi ni Dan, at kumutya sa pamilya niya, kinakaibigan ni, really? Sabi kay Michael, may interview po si Amy na may American consultant na ngayon daw. Ang advice is demolition job na si VP. Yes, I heard that. Dahil siya pinakamalakas at dapat ngayon dahan-dahan na siya siraan, ito daw ang first phase. Well, I understand that and that does seem like a correct assessment. So ang sinasabi natin dito is that that's why we have to always look carefully at what people say about the VP and then explain kung bakit sometimes it's not true, sometimes what is true, and so on. So, but what we have to watch out for is in many instances, the VP cannot defend herself, in particular sa confidential fund. Dahil syempre, hindi niya pwedeng pag-usapan, confidential nga, that's the exact nature of the fund. And therefore, when people question it, hindi siya makakasagot. And so yan po ang pinagsasamantalahan ng mga trolls nung kabila, ng mga umaaway sa kanya. Pinaalala nga ni Ma'am Ying about PTA. Sabi ko kung sana kompleto gamit sa PTA. Okay, ito yung issue ni Senator Raffy. Ang sinasabi naman ni Senator Raffy is he wants to hold the DepEd accountable for the whatever it is that the PTA is doing. So number one, the PTA is a private organization, although it cooperates and coordinates with the teachers or therefore with the DepEd. The PTA makes donations to the schools. So the DepEd naman is allowed and it's authorized to accept these donations. Now, ang sinasabi ni Senator Raffy is that in some instances, sapilitan ito. But this is a private organization. So government has nothing to do with whatever sapilitan he claims is going on. And second, if the sapilitan is an actual issue, then the person or persons who feel aggrieved can file a case for coercion or for a criminal suit for damages. So, kung ang sumbungan ay si Senator Tulfo, I do not understand what they think is going to be the end to this one. Ano po yung end game nila? What is the purpose of this sumbong to Senator Raffy? Diba? Sabi ni Jed, hi, kami sa probinsya namin kahit wala karamihan sa amin nakatira. Since doon kami sa barangay na yun nag-graduate ng elementary school, nag-ambag pa rin kami ng tig 1,000. Ang wala, depende na lang pinagawa ng pader. O, yun. Diba? Kusang loob. So, wala naman pong nagbabawal kapag kusang loob po ito binigay. So, I just find it unusual na ang pagtutuunan ng pansin yung PTA, while at the same time, pagtutuunan din ng pansin yung so-called CEF. Diba? So, yung na makikita natin dito is they're trying to close all avenues for funding so that the VP cannot cannot slam dunk the successes in the DepEd. So, sabi ni Ma'am Ying, kahit simpleng digital thermometer, wala minsan. dun sa ano to, ay this is a government hospital. So yun nga po, so there is nothing that stops us when it is a voluntary contribution provided it is made to an agency that is authorized to accept donations. Ngayon, kung hindi and there is no apparent purpose for it, then we have to go slow about raising money for the VP. Kasi merong mga tao dyan na tinatag pa kami ni Nasas and all that tungkol dito sa fundraising na gusto nilang ilunsad. Gusto ko muna is to see ano yung temperature doon. Ano ba ang tingin ni ni VP about this? Kasi on her end, I don't see her as asking for anything like that. Siyempre parang it's really awkward. 'Di ba? Nahihingi kayo ng contributions from the public. Now, if the public even is voluntarily giving it, kailangan may avenue yan. Unang-una, is the institution authorized to accept money for this particular purpose? Kung hindi po, hindi rin po maaaring tanggapin ni VP Inday without running afoul of the law. Banning voluntary contributions? Sino bang nagba-ban ng voluntary contributions? At sino nagsabing unconstitutional yan? Do you think the line has been drawn in the unity team? Ito yung mga clues natin and I prefer that you make your own conclusion. The president has clearly defended the speaker on at least 2 occasions very recently. Number one is on whether or not the speaker was present on the day or the day after Yolanda. And number two, he has asked the speaker to represent him in some important functions where the president could not attend. So, ibig sabihin, the president is showing people that he trusts Speaker Martin to speak on his behalf and to get the kind of exposure necessary for somebody who has aspirations for higher office. Now, we have to see if the president has done the same for the VP. Now, when the VP was under fire for her own for issues in the legislature, the president was silent. So I'm not sure if this is actually drawing the lines. But so far, I prefer to take my cue from the vice president. If she does not say anything against the president yet, then I think that I will wait for her timing. But we can conclude based on the president's actions on which party is clearly has the upper hand here. Sabi ni Moods, tama po ang wisdom ni VP Sara sa pag-urong ng kanyang CF para makabawi siya sa kanyang popularity at alam na niya na hindi rin papasa sa Senate ang hinihingi niya. I don't think we can make that kind of conclusion. Actually, a lot of people, a lot of the senators wanted to support her on this one. Ibig sabihin, the issue would have gone to BICAM, but we don't know what the result would be there. So you can't say na hindi papasa sa Senate. Marami siyang kakampi sa Senado. But she was the one, despite knowing na maraming kakampi at marami rin willing tulungan siya dito, she was the one who asked them, wag nang ituloy, inuurong na niya. So wag niyo pong i-assume na yung mga ganyan po, don't make shortcuts. Halimbawa, may mga taon nag-a-assume na hindi ako pumasa ng commission on appointments. That's not true. In the same way that you cannot assume that yung kay VP Inday na request ay hindi papasa sa Senado. Dahil nagbilang na rin siya, alam niya kung ilan ang sumusuporta sa kanya. So, but yes, it is quite, how do you call this? It is wise for her to have withdrawn this, and it shut up the naysayers. It shut up all the critics At yung mga humirit pa diyan katulad ni na Congressman Castro, yung kanilang pahabol na criticism dito nagmukha na lang pikon. So it was a good move. There is no law prohibiting collection. Teka, where are you getting your information? Wala po akong sinasabing mga ganyan. Tell me your sources para ma-attack natin yung issue. Kasi ang nangyayari, nagtatanong kayo around a particular question. So I can cite to you the law. I don't understand why these questions are all dancing around the prohibition of collection. Ang bawal po when the DepEd became fully funded is hindi na po maniningil yung school for school supplies and books and uniforms, etc. So, yun po yung rule. Hindi po yung bawal yung collections. Kung ang collections are instituted by the PTA and comes from the parents, not the students, and it is voluntarily given, then hindi po kasi bawal yun. Uulit-ulitin niyo pa eh. About naman sa PTA na sinisigaw, sino naman side mo doon? Why are you asking for sides of, we don't side with people, we side with answers to particular issues. We agree or disagree with policies. Ayun, so sinabi ni Ron, si Raffy Tulfo kasi paulit-ulit siya sa programa niya na gusto niya ipaban ang collections. Sa totoo lang, banned na nga ang DepEd from getting fees. 'Di ba? Bawal sila yung mag-provide ng notebooks, everything, school supplies, etc. Pero minsan kasi depending on the school, kinakapos din sila. So, the PTA, pwede silang magpuno ng kakulangan na yon. So, hindi ko alam where Senator Tulfo is also getting his information. Sabi ni Michael, ano po magagawa namin para hindi tayo maging proxy war na at the same time maging safe at peaceful ang panawagan natin sa government? Para hindi tayo maging proxy war. Well, the enlightened naman po yung policy of friend to all, enemy to none. Kasi when it comes down to it, all international relations is diplomacy. So, so the idea is not to get ourselves into situations kung saan tayo ay makakasangkapan para sa agenda ng ibang tao, while at the same time maintaining peaceful relations with them. It's not always possible, but that is what we strive for. For more details, ako suggestion ko, makinig kay Sas kasi mag-live siya after this. Okay, last two questions para makapag-live na si Sas. Sabi ni Jason, exciting part when VP will be removed as DepEd Secretary. Masasabi natin wala nang unity team talaga. I don't think that would be wise on the part of the administration. But let's see what happens. Sabi ni Myra, parang medyo nakakabustos lang yung ginagawa ni Tulfo na ilatag yung napakahaba niyang listahan. Akala niya siguro nasa program niya siya. I think he will eventually learn. Sabi ni Pialo, kahit naman sa Congress dati, alam niya na susuportahan siya. Unfortunately, nagamit ng mga makakaliwa at pati na din ni MR. Well, that's politics for you. You use me, they use you, etc. It's really you scratch my back and I scratch yours. Now, always remember that the Senate and the Congress are collegial bodies. So, pakikisama is a rule, well, not a rule, a major practice there. Pag hindi sila nakisama sa mga kasamahan nila, hindi nila iboboto yung mga gusto nilang ipasa. Hindi sila makakapagpasa ng mga resolutions, hindi sila makakapag-hearings, wala silang kakampi. At kampihan talaga po ang nature ng mga collegial bodies. Sabi ni Flavie, buti na lang wala ka na sa admin na to, mas marami kang natuturuan sa malinaw mong pagpapaliwanag. Well, it depends. When you're in a job, you have to do the best that you can, whatever it is that you're doing. So, ganun lang po yan. Sabi ni Ma'am Gina, kita naman po kung ano ang talagang intensyon, bakit pa ulit-ulit sa PTA si Rafi Tulfo. Ngayon lang maingay about PTA. Indirectly natatamaan din si VP about that because she heads the DepEd. At minsan, yung mga sinasabi ni Senator Rafi ay patutya o natahahagingan ang Department of Education. Siyempre, they don't want the VP to have a sterling record of accomplishments doon sa department niya. So, but as long as we tell people, we enlighten people na ito po yung pakay ng isang potential na kandidato for 2028, then the people will see right through it. Ang problema is that he really does pander to a particular group, 'di ba? Meron siyang audience na hinahabol. At yung audience na ito ay hindi necessarily kukuha ng impormasyon na makakapagpaliwanag sa sitwasyon. Ang nakikita lang nila ay yung kanilang sariling problema at nakikita nila si Mr. Tulfo ay tumutulong. So kailangan mabasag natin yung magiging natural bias nila ano para kay Mr. Tulfo. All right? Sige. Maraming salamat dun sa pagsubaybay ninyo dito. Magla-live po si Sas at oo, susubaybay din po ako. Thank you kay Pambansang Loyalista kasi tatara naman talaga ako kay Sas right after this live. One last, sabi ni Suzette, is a change of form of government a solution from presidential to parliamentary? It depends on what particular problems you want to address and the kind of form the parliamentary system will take. So we can actually institute rules to address that. But then you can do that in either system. Para sa akin, ang importante is we right now, ako pro-parliamentary ako kasi mabilis eh. Kaya nating magpa-change ng mga tao right away. But kailangan, if you want a change, you have to inform people of how unicameral parliamentary is far more efficient. Less money to mas konti ang pera na gagastusin natin and mas responsive siya sa sinasabi ng tao. But we have to ensure that the system will ensure that responsiveness. So information campaign is necessary if we want that kind of shift. And kailangan i-identify natin kung anong problema yung tinutukoy natin kaya tayo gustong mag-shift. What problems do we want the change of system to answer? And what rules we need to institute in that system para mas efficient din siya in its governance. Okay, so maraming salamat. Tara na kay Sas. Excited na rin ako to hear what she has to say. So maraming salamat. Everybody have a good evening and let's move to saan ba yung kay Sas Rogando Sasot's page or account for another enlightening live. See you guys. Mag-live ako uli about 10 hours. Okay. Bye. Thank you.